Alrighty, everybody, we are back and to the next step, and that is putting the covers on, splicing some more wires into the motors, and taking it to the next step. So we're gonna cut two pieces of electrical wire, black and red, so we can extend them and then run them through the center here. So we'll go ahead and just start wiring, fishing them through here. Put that one there. Go ahead and split it. Alrighty, now once we establish where we need to go with the length here, then we'll take it to the next step. Alright, now go ahead and turn my soldering gun off, move this out of the way before I burn myself. Okay, now that's all done. Now we can put the top brace on, or the top plate, sandwich it all in and see how she works out. Top plate. Now with this here, I just took a small piece, I guess, wire coating, wire insulation that I'm going to use to put right in here, so the wires don't get cut on the steel. Now, if I did this correctly, you should not have to take the bottom back off to set the slur gear, or the slew gear. Alrighty, that's it for this. All I gotta do is just kind of hone out these holes a little bit. That's about it. But other than that, I think we are completed for the base, besides just putting the tracks on and everything. So yeah, we'll go on to assembling the slur gear and or the slew gear, and yeah, we'll take it to the next step. Alrighty, everybody, now we are going to start assembling the slew gear. I think I'm pronouncing that correct. Slew gear. All right, which is an actual simple procedure, just a bunch of 2 main bearings and some fittings. So we're going to be needing some M330 self-tapper counter sunk screws for one, and that's how we're going to get it. So now these are actually labeled B, M, and T, representing bottom, middle, and top. Okay, so first thing you do is you just kind of press fit this one in here. You may have to resort to a press or a vise if you have to. This one fits in perfect. Second one we put on the bottom here. And then there are notches where you gotta line them up. Tell you what, be right back. Alrighty, I think I have the proper tools to make this a little bit easier. We're at this point. So you take your bottom ring, the actual ring gear here, and you insert that on the same side you do the screw heads. Press it all the way in there, all the way in. And then we take our last ring and we fit it right down in there. And then we take our M3x20 self-tappers, and I'm gonna need a screwdriver. No. And that one broke too. Oh boy, we got a problem. Alrighty, I kind of broke off the screws going into the gear here, so this is pretty much junk. I can't extract them in any way. So on that note, what I'm going to do is print up another one. So kind of came over here. That's where we're at now. I'm printing up another one. So we will see in about 8 hours, and we will continue. But this time around, I'm not going to be using the M3 by 16s. I'm going to be using the M3 16s regular screws, just the regular ones, because they're a little bit tougher, a little bit nicer to work with, and what have you. So on that note, yeah. So on that note, we're going to just be running these in here, and yeah, these will be a lot better. So where were we? Okay, so here, flip it over. Alrighty, I may have to grind these down a little bit. The self-tappers kind of went through the bottom just a little bit, so I don't know how that's going to play out on the plate that goes on top of this, but we'll see. All right, we'll go on to the next step here. Now, I wound up cutting some M4 threaded rod down to 55 millimeters, and I'm actually going to run them into the bottom here, and so they'll be sticking out through the whole bottom and get mounted to the undercarriage. But what I'm also going to do is actually put a little bit of glue on this as I'm running them in. And if I got a little bit of Alrighty. I don't see any binding. Don't feel any binding or anything. Okay. Let's Alright, now let's see if my calculations are correct. Let's see if this will go in here. Oh, I hope so. Alrighty. Now let's get some M4 nuts here. Some M4 lock washers. Now for the next step is to put the motor and the plate on top of here and match these up. And then put the slew ring in, or the slew ring. This is the slew gear. This is the slew ring. And this gets, I think this gets mounted like that. Yeah, because the top, this has to stay put, and this part is what turns. The top part is what turns. Okay, and we'll do that. So we're going to end it here real quick, and then I'll be back with the next set of pieces. Alrighty, everybody. I seem to have printed up the wrong piece here. The this motor mounting plate is for the steel slew ring or slew gear that you can purchase separately. By me going with the 3D printed slew ring, I chose the wrong motor mount here. So yeah, but this is what this looks like. This is what this looks like. Working beautifully. It's just that these holes, the holes mounted on top here, they don't quite line up. So but yeah, but this is it right now. It's very robust. I can pick it up by it, you know, and I don't have to worry about it breaking or anything. So in the meantime, I think I'm going to start on the overcarriage, and in the meantime print up the proper one for this one, so we can just mount it all together and make it one shot there. So alrighty, so until then, I think this actually, besides all the tracks too, I got all the tracks to make up. So, but that's it, and yeah, until the next video. Alrighty, and we're back. Okay, I printed up another motor mount for the slew gear here, and I already checked it out. It seemed like it's going to work, but I am not going to put that on at the moment. What I'm going to do is actually move on to the tracks, but yeah, we'll go on to that because this is going to involve putting in the slew ring. Then this actually makes it able to turn 360 degrees without binding all the wires and everything. So we are going to hold off on this for a second and do the very last. That's going to be the very last thing, because I still need to make sure once I get the tracks on and everything and put power to the motors that it's going to work. So let's slide this out of the way. And we're going to move on to the chain. Now, I already cut them to 44 links. And what I mean by a link, I mean by each individual spot where you put the track pads at. And actually, you need a total of 45. But with the master link, that makes 45. So you cut 44 of these, and then this makes 45. Okay, so we already cut those and made 2 of them and got 2 master links. So now what we're going to do is move on to all the track pads. Now, yeah, this is where it's going to get a little boring. So this is where I turn some music on, and we're going to use the I know I got them around here somewhere. The M3x6 countersunks. So we're just going to kind of lay these out here. And do one of those numbers. Get a track pad. And just kind of start putting them on.
right, with the magic of editing, we'll be back.
Alrighty. Alright, I'm back of putting on all the tracks here. Looking out rather nice. Really nice there. And I kind of did a dry test fit here. And I found a little issue here. And it's going to probably require taking all of the guide rollers off, because if you see here real close how the master link is actually rubbing up against the side there, so it looks like I'm gonna have to I can just take this off now. Oh, a lot of tension underneath that, be careful. A lot of tension. Yeah, so it looks like I'm gonna have to, take a little bit of the plastic off on this side, and then on the outside on the other track there, to make the master link fit in between. Because actually there's a good assumption right there. Yeah, it's just not gonna slide in. So I will kind of cut it here, and yeah, I won't bore you guys with that, but I will show you the finished product, and just gotta trim off a little bit there on both sides. So I think we'll be okay. Alrighty, we're back from cutting the little track area here. As you can see, I just kind of cut right along downside the edges here, so the master link can slide in here and do what it needs to do along the track. So now we're going to attempt to put the tracks on. So we'll flip this over, and I see the easiest way to try and do this is to get the first link started on the if I can get it. Try and get this first try and set that right about there. So when you bring the other track around this way, then you can have somewhere to hook it into, and kind of make it a little bit easier to get the last linking. So kind of do it like this, put the tension on it, kind of slide it on in there. It'll hook itself right in there. You just kind of be careful because it is under tension, and then very skillfully slide that in there like so. Okay. We still got to get one more of these screws into the spot here, to finish holding this track pad down. But right now it moved, so we gotta get this other one in here. So, but tell you what, since I got that master link on, what we're gonna do is flip over to the other side and get that on. thing I forgot to do. Oh, one thing I forgot to do that I need to show you guys. Okay, I noticed that the upper guide rollers here were a little bit offset from the center line here. So what I wound up doing was taking a couple of M5 washers behind each bearing here, and that kicks out the guide roller there. So let me do that before I forget. All right. Just take two M5 washers here. We are on. Now, I'm gonna cut the video here real quick because this is gonna be a few minutes before I can get these in, and yeah, that's gonna be a second or two. So, I'm gonna be right back. Okay, we are back, and we've got the tracks on. I managed to kick the tracks off to a certain angle to get that last screw into the chain link there, and now we're going to move on to the last step, which is mounting the slew ring motor, the slew gear motor, the slew ring, and the mounting plate. And I actually, when I ordered the slew ring, I noticed that the hole for the mount here was way too big, so I had to get into Blender, or if you're familiar with Tinkercad or a CAD program, I made an insert so this can actually fit in nice and snug, and I'll kind of show you how it goes here. Kind of slide it from the bottom up. Now this does make a difference on which way this is orientated. Alrighty, as you can see, kind of real close, right down the center here is your pivot point. This is where it turns. Okay, if I can get it to turn. Yeah, there you go. That's where it turns. The other part gets mounted to the plate. The plate gets mounted to the overcarriage. So this here cannot move. This center part is what moves in here. So you just have to make sure that the orientation of this is correct. And as you can see, nice and snug. What I'm going to do though is actually drill a couple screws here. And what should I use? What can I use? Let's use... we go. Now it's just a matter of choosing the correct wires. And they're all color coded. With us using only 4 wires, and this is a 6-strand system, 2 of these are not going to be used. So let's use a red and a black, and let's use a orange and a brown. So the 2 here, we're just going to kind of do one of these numbers and get them out of the way. There we go. Now, I'm not too worried about the top ones because the top ones are going to feed into the whole overcarriage and whatnot, and I can string those up a little later. So, since we have our 2, what we're going to start doing is I'm going to go ahead and put some DuPont connectors on it, and I'll put females on one side and males on the other side, just so nice and orientated. So let's see here. We don't need this much. So let's get just enough to work with here. It is about as simple as that. And then we'll check them once more, you know, make sure that they're working and everything. This one here. And now what we got to do is we got to put the male ends onto here. So once again, I'll give myself a little working space here. I think that's about good. All right, now we're going to take some, actually before we do that, I'm actually going to get my Dremel out and put a little notch in that. Just a little notch there, just something you can stick your finger in, you know, and that's just enough for the grub screw here and grab onto. Matter of fact, we can actually all right, so that goes on there like so. Put this way before I make this a mess. Okay, then we use some M36s. Alrighty, we have power. Now, kind of gently stuff this back in here, like so. Alright, I'm not going to screw it down all the way, but there it is right there. Because what I'm going to have to do is all these little nubs down in here, I'm going to have to grind down so this sits flush. I mean, it really doesn't have to. I mean, it could actually sit directly onto those. You know what? I think I'm going to leave it as is. Leave that little bit of gap in there. And because all the holes in here, I actually press it down and what have you. So I'll go with that. Okay. Alrighty. That is it for that. Next thing, all I got to do is put the wires on the motor, see if it'll turn, and that is pretty much a done deal for the base here. So that's the end of part one. That's the end of part one. So yeah, let's move on to the overcarriage now.